Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. For today's video, I am so excited to be sharing with you guys one of my favorite long-term holds getting into this next cycle, one that I think is going to be outperforming the majority of altcoins out there. We're going to be taking a look at the fundamentals, understanding exactly why this thing is primed for so much more adoption in comparison with many of these other cryptos. And then we're also going to be taking a look at the charts because I think that this has one of the very best looking setups in all of crypto today. Guys, if you find any value in this video, please do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. And if you want to see any of the altcoins I'm investing in this cycle, links are in the description to go ahead and sign up on my website. Right off the bat, guys, the token we're going to be talking about today is Injective Protocol. We're going to be talking about this because Injective is one that's really caught my attention, and it's one that I think is going to outperform the majority of altcoins. We've already seen it have such a really big move in the last year. 2023 was a huge year for Injective. We saw it really explode and start to, catch people by surprise. And inside of that run, a lot of people have kind of started to forget about it. A lot of people, now that we've been inside of this longer correction, most people aren't really talking about it anymore. But I think that this is the real opportunity that we can be in early. We can be understanding how the tokenomics work, because there really is something that you don't see, and it's very unique to Injective Protocol that we're going to be breaking down right now. When we come over here and go to the main website of Injective, this is going to be a blockchain that's kind of geared towards institutional investors. And if we come down here, it says backed by the best. You have Binance, Pantera Capital, and those are going to be the people that also backed Solana in the early days. Pantera Capital was really the big driver of Solana's value, and I have a lot of confidence that this is also going to be doing something similar. Now, when we come down in here and look at the website, like I said at the beginning, this is kind of a blockchain geared towards institutional investors, and that's another reason why I think that it's really going to see more adoption than ever before. With this being the institutional cycle, we need platforms that are more catered towards the institutional investors and those big money players that can actually step in and start buying into these markets. I think that the ones that are already working alongside the TradeFi people, the ones that are already trying to kind of bridge that gap, make it easier for the normal finance world to come into crypto, that's where we're going to see some of the most adoption inside of this cycle. Now, the real thing that we need to be paying attention to when we're talking about the tokenomics of Injective, we've seen all of the TVL and also the transactions have just been steadily climbing. We can also come to DeFi Llama and we can take a look that the TVL is once again just sitting into price discovery, and in my opinion, about to be taking another leg up. This is showing a lot of consistent growth, a lot of new adoption. The amount of revenue that Injective Protocol generates in comparison to some of these other chains, it's off the charts. I mean, you're just under there below Solana. And we got to keep in mind that Solana has significantly higher TVL. We're looking at Injective only having $95 million in total TVL, so that's not that much, and it's got a lot of room for growth. But the fact that they're generating this much in fees, and that's why I think it's going to do so well, is because we have a highly deflationary token model, which if I come down here, the Injective token burn auctions. This is really what drives the price of the Injective token itself, and we've seen so much of the supply just constantly getting burned that it's really just driving the price up. What we see in bull markets and bear markets for that matter, but mainly in the bull markets, anytime you have a token that has a high burn rate and a deflationary model, once all of the hype sets in and people rush to go buy the token, that supply is just getting yanked off of the market, and so by default the price has to rise substantially. And it's always the projects that have the highest deflationary models, big buy burns, and different sort of deflationary mechanisms, they end up outperforming the majority of the market. Not only in the bull market, but in the bear market, when everybody rushes to sell, what we end up seeing is these tokens with high burn rates, they end up actually, not even selling off that much because of the way that the volume works out. As everybody is rushing to sell, there's constantly a certain amount of buy pressure still on side of the market because the burn rate is so high that with the buyback and burn, you're constantly having at least some buy pressure even inside of the bear market. So oftentimes we've seen these altcoins that have the buy burns only correct maybe 80% in a bear market instead of like 90, 95+%. And I think that Injective is only going to see more adoption because when we're talking about a high burn rate inside of a bull market, inside of a blockchain that's meant for institutions, and we have the institutions all at the same time, I just don't think you can really get any better. So with all that being said, let's talk about the charts. Let's really go into the analysis of why I'm so bullish about this setup, because I have so much confidence in Injective going into this next bull run. Now, we just wanted to brush up briefly on the tokenomics, talk a little bit about the fundamental use case for it. It's its own layer one, high deflationary model. I didn't get into too many details about how the deflationary mechanism works with the actual auctions that take place, but that's going to be for a later time. I wanted to get into the technicals because I really really think that this is standing out in a big way. Now, right off the bat, guys, if I remove this sort of white line over in here and we're taking a look at Injective currently, we can see that this had a very big move in 2023. At the very beginning of 2023, we saw this thing start to run, and it was one of the first altcoins to go into a new all-time high. And what we've seen is as we've gone into this new all-time high, we've made this pullback, and all we're really doing right now is retesting that prior all-time high of that last cycle, because this thing got added to exchanges in October of 2020. So it did have a prior cycle. It's just that now we're starting to actually break out and go into price discovery. With us flipping this prior all-time high, I think that we're very, very close to that moment of time before we do finally get that move into the next leg up. And the question is going to be how this shorter time frame unfolds, because as we're looking at it down here, you know, we're seeing a lot of buy support, right? Anytime the market has dipped back down to retest this prior all-time high level, we're seeing a lot of buyers stepping into the market. And just recently in the shorter time frames, we've ran all the way back up to these range highs. Now, we're technically closing below them, and we didn't quite make the breakout, but we got to assume that even if this were to come back down, if this ends up being a retest and we go higher, once we get outside of this resistance from over in here, basically being $29 to $30, I think that the reversal is in. We're about to be sending it into a much bigger move. The big thing that we're looking for with some of these tokens is what ones are going to outperform the most to begin the cycle, what ones are already seeing the most adoption, because it's obviously an early indication as to what's going to come further in the bull market. Sometimes in the cycle, you see certain altcoins really break out in a big way. Certain AI altcoins have done it. You know, we've seen the same thing with some of these other layer one applications. But for the most part, it's always those early runners that people think, oh man, they've already broken out. I've been priced out. I can't get into them anymore. Only those are the ones you still want to get in. Even though you're buying into price discovery, into new all-time highs technically, it's still a good opportunity to get in because we're talking about an institutional bull run with retail adoption like never before. And some of the best performing altcoins so far are literally giving you a great opportunity at accumulating back down at these prior all-time highs. So when I'm looking at this, it reminds me a lot of when Chainlink first broke out into a new all-time high, and that's kind of where I've drawn and grabbed this white chart from. It looks a lot like that first move. The difference is Chainlink spent a lot of time consolidating on top of here. I don't think that that's the case. With Bitcoin already being at a new all-time high, getting ready for price discovery again, the Ethereum ETF is approved. I really think that these altcoins that have already started a front run are really at the final stages before they just make another big move. When we're looking at these altcoins, it's going to seem really crazy that we've just seen this big pullback. A lot of people are freaked out. It's going to catch people by surprise when they just start breaking out and running right back up to these prior all-time high levels or the range highs. Some of them are at new all-time highs, some of them aren't, but Injective has already outperformed so much that I have a lot of confidence it's going to continue to do the same things. The difference is everybody kind of has the last opportunity to accumulate it right down as we're just getting this big support and resistance flip. We can come out to like a monthly time frame. We can remove this and we can see that all we've done is break out of that cycle high, correct right back down onto support of it. And now we're getting, well, in my opinion, we're about to get continuation from that. So any level you're looking at, whether it's the weekly time frame, the monthly time frame, we've consistently held this support, big capitulation, you know, we've had multiple different reactions to try and close below. None of them have been successful. Now that we're starting to see this next green candle coming in here, don't be surprised if this thing ends up bottoming, you know, relatively soon. Right now in the shorter time frames, we're sitting on top of the prior high. You know, yes, we got rejected from the very top of the range, it being like $30. But as long as we just kind of consolidate inside of this move, if we get that next breakout, and we're talking us actually flipping $30, I got a lot of confidence that that's where we're going to see a very big move coming in Injective. And I wanted to give you this update because I see a fundamental driver, you know, being the institutional cycle. We have more money coming into this bull market than ever before. When we have blockchain applications that can finally, you know, entice the TradeFi people working side by side with institutions so that they can actually like bridge this gap so that we can get global adoption. That's where we're going to see the most upside in a lot of these altcoins. And I don't think you can be better positioned inside of a crypto like Injective because of the fact this thing not only is catering and building towards the institutional level, but it also has an insanely high burn mechanism. And so it's deflationary. And inside of these altcoin bull runs, when we see these altcoins with high deflationary mechanisms and burn rates, whether it's a buy burn, whether it's something else, regardless, it always ends up meaning that the token is going to outperform. Because if it gets, you know, 50% it only needs to get half as much exposure and the price is just going to outperform everything else because there's less of a circulating supply existing on the market. You constantly have the market buying up the circulating supply, and then you have more people getting excited about the project in general as the bull run's taking off. The price starts to rise. At the same time the price is rising, the buy burn is taking place and sucking the circulating supply even further out of the liquidity pool, and then you see real rises in price. And so I see a perfect combination of factors here, and it gets me excited because I know a lot of people that watch this channel are kind of looking at what the heck the next big thing is. What have I been watching personally? And Injective is one of those that I really think is just a no-brainer. You got to get at least some exposure. And over the next little while, I'm going to be breaking down some of the tokens in the Injective ecosystem that I'm watching for. So if you guys do want to actually see what altcoins I'm going to be buying, you got to join my private group because I always post them in there before I ever get anything on YouTube. So if we're talking Injective making this big move into price discovery, like I was showing, you guys got to understand that the ecosystem, all of the tokens built on it, are going to do even bigger multiples. And so if Injective in and of itself is worth $3 billion total market cap, it might do another 10, 25x from here, maybe even more, who knows. But if that's going to be happening, imagine what the ecosystem tokens that nobody knows about are going to be doing. So if you want to see what those are, you guys got to follow my group. Links are in the description to go ahead and sign up on my website to get access to that. With that being said, I just appreciate you guys. I love you. Wanted to give you one of my favorite investments, one that we've been actually buying in this dip in my group, and we've accumulated quite a bit of it. Just looking forward to the ecosystem now, because as Injective is taking off, we're printing off of our long-term holds there, but then we're also going to be printing off of the ecosystem plays that we're buying right now. So if you want to check it out, links are in the description. With that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. As always, peace out.